Welcome to Career Conversations with Service Express. Following up on a series we did earlier this year with our Director of Talent Acquisition, Lindsay Foley, we have a new series for you. And this series features some of our leaders from our sales development team, our Director of Sales Development, Andy Steenstra, along with two of our managers of the sales development team, Derek Russ and Luis Flores. So this week's topic, to kick it off, is adapting to change. So two things with the sales development team. One, always a lot of change going on with that team. When we first developed that team and started it, in fact, with hiring Andy 7 years ago, recently celebrated his 7-year anniversary, that has changed every year. Our strategies and the way we do things and new tools around technology that we've brought in. Lots of change going on with that team all the time as we continue to evolve and grow. So I want to talk with our leaders about that change, as well as how they're adjusting now in this time of COVID to suddenly working from home, having their teams all spread out working from home, and what that has been like for a team that is so used to working so closely together in a tight-knit way. And so they'll have great insights for you. I'm excited for the conversation and hope you enjoy it too. All right, so sitting here today with members of our sales development leadership team, and going to have a great conversation with them over the next hour or so around our sales development team, our strategies, the makeup of the team, and how we lead them in any time, and of course during this unique time during COVID. So to start off, we guys go around and introduce yourselves, Andy, and give it just a quick background of yourself, please.
Absolutely. So I'm Andy Steenstra. I'm the Director of Sales Development here at Service Express. I started 7 years ago, actually my anniversary is next week. So started here 7 years ago, and I was the second SDR on the team when we started it. And I just had the privilege of watching the sales development team grow and evolve over these 7 years. And over that time, our company's more than tripled in size, and in a small part or a large part to sales development playing a part into that. So it's been a fun ride to be able to see that growth and development on the team.
Awesome. We're going to talk about that growth and development and that trajectory in a little bit too. So thanks, Andy. Derek?
Yeah, Derek Russ. I'm one of the managers on the sales development team. Had the privilege, like all our leaders, starting out in the sales development role, which was really exciting to not only just really understand the tools and the processes. I think that's always important to, as a leader, to understand those components, but understand the mindset. What does SDRs go through? What's their day-to-day like? What are the ups and downs and the challenges within the role? And that's one of the things I've appreciated most about my time as an SDR. This role and this team gets you outside of your comfort zone. And it got me outside of my comfort zone in so many wonderful ways because that's where I grew the most. And coming in with a background and doing something entirely different for about 7 years prior to coming here, to learn so much from the people around me was a true blessing. So I've been with the company at 4.5 years in leadership on the team for 3.5 of those years, and just a real exciting opportunity to see people grow and have different impacts and leverage their skills, talents, and abilities in so many different places in the organization. That's not only what keeps me on sales development, but it's what gets me super excited about continuing to lead on this team with these guys, Luis and Andy and our other leaders, just to see people continue to develop and grow in their skills and abilities, have a higher impact. We all strive for that, and sales development has been that place for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. Luis?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. So similar to Andy, I joined Service Express about a year after he did. So I've just crossed my 6-year mark here with Service Express, and that was shortly a job that I jumped into soon after college. And for me, it's just been an awesome learning experience of how do I provide value where I'm at, regardless of my role, regardless of my title. And fast forward to 6 years now, it's crazy. I've seen the team and how much we've grown with the company and the opportunities that it's been able to yield for the rest of the organization. So just really excited to talk about, what we've done, but also, primarily, right, what the team has done, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the team members that really come through and really help evolve the team over time.
Awesome. Great. And Luis, by the way, fun fact, he has one of the great backhanded compliments of all time, not only at Service Express, but in my lifetime. Luis, you want to share that story? We got to share that. You lived to
Yes.
tell about it, so this is good.
Oh man, yeah, that was one of my foolish first year moments where I panicked. One of the first few times we got interaction with Ron, because we were in the back area of our building, and it was like the sales dev spot. We didn't see a whole lot of traffic, but when we did, we just got super excited and nervous at the same time when we got to see people. So Ron came through. He was rocking the Service Express polo, and I decided to compliment him. Rightly so. And I said, Ron, I really like that shirt, actually. And that actually at the end just kind of killed the whole the whole purpose of the compliment, because then it just spiraled into actually, so do you mean like I never look good, or like other shirts aren't good enough? But hey, I don't take it back, because I think that little comment has brought us so far. Ryan, now we can still reflect back to those days, and I don't regret it for a second. So.
Oh my God, I love it. I just love that. Sir, was that really your first year?
That was within my first year. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. I forget. Time goes by so fast. I forget. I think I remember going back and checking your results right after that. Too, so.
I bet you did.
he better be good.
Yeah.
He better be good. So
oh man.
That is hilarious. So, all right. Thank you, Luis, for sharing that. So we talk about sales development. We're going to use the term SDR for sales development rep, but let's just start with everybody with just a big kind of a quick high level overview. What is sales development? What does a sales development rep do?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. And basically it was made popular by a book called Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross. It was certainly around before then, but essentially the concept is in sales, you have three major functions. You have to prospect, you have to close business, and you have to take care of your customers. Account management is what they call that. And the whole idea of sales development is, let's get a team, instead of salespeople doing all three of those functions, let's get a team that just does one of them. And we can focus tools, resources, training, all on that one thing. And so for sales development, it is that prospecting team. We are setting introductory meetings for our salespeople to go out, who are then going to try and close the business. And so that's what we do. We're 100% outbound and inbound prospectors.
Yeah. So for perspective for everybody listening, right, that before we started and had a sales development team, before we read that book, I'm glad you plugged it, Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross. It's one of my most highly recommended books. I give to anybody. Our sales team did everything. They did all the prospecting, all the needs analysis, proposal presentation and closing, and then all the account management. And this is kind of our first step into starting to segment those responsibilities out like we do now, which we'll get to, right? And when we read that book, it was like, I remember he had like company A and company B. Company A was us, the sales team, doing everything. Company B was segmenting it out, and company B growth trajectory was higher. And we read that, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is where we're at, and this is the change we need to make onto that. And so we started that. And actually, Andy, you came on, but we had a couple sales development reps first. One that was kind of moved into that role internally, and one brought in from the outside. They did the role for about a year. Didn't work out. We learned a lot, right? And then we brought you on, and Katie at the same time, who's still with us, right? And really started down this journey. So 7 years ago, of really doing this prospecting for our teams. And as I said, you get you set the meetings, and then the sales team gets involved, and they do quick needs analysis, which is uncovered needs discovery, proposal presentation based on those needs analysis, and then close the business, right? And then on to account manager. And so you started 7 years ago. There's two of you when you started. How many people are on the sales development team currently? And I know it's always growing. I just was in onboarding. Zoomed into onboarding a week ago, and I think there's 2 or 3 that were in there. So what's our current head count?
Yeah, we onboarded 6 in the last 2 weeks, which is great. But we are currently at 40 sales development representatives on our team, with 4 managers who are supporting them.
Okay. And how many during COVID, since the initial kind of shutdown came in March, approximately how many sales development reps have we hired between March and mid-November?
Yeah, so there's always a flexing of numbers for us because we're promoting people off of our team. And so
Right.
I can tell you that we promoted 12 people off our team this year. But we've moved from the beginning of the year, we had 23 SDRs on our team, and now we have 40. And so if you want to think about hiring, we average about 3 to 4 new SDRs per month. And I think our number is somewhere around 35 to 40 SDRs we've brought on the team this year.
All right, so it's awesome. Let's talk about that from a leadership standpoint. I want to talk about the hiring, and then I want to talk about the promoting. You brought up an exciting term there, promoting during this time of COVID as well. So hiring during this time, what's been the unique challenges? People who follow Service Express a little bit know of our recruiting process, and it's a lot of face-to-face interviews with multiple people. And in March, that suddenly got shut down. So what has hiring been like from our perspective? But also, what have you learned from the candidate's perspective? Because Andy, you mentioned it before we got on the call. We've got somebody, at least one, maybe more, that have never even physically stepped foot in an office or met anybody in person on the team. So what's it like from both sides of that dynamic? And Derek and Luis, jump in here as well.
Yeah, I would say, it's interesting. Service Express is relational. We are a relational organization. I mean, our tagline is people power data center solutions, right? So we are people focused, right? And so what we always, focus on is giving individuals a great experience by developing relationships with them. It's a huge component of not only how we hire and recruit, how we train, but how we coach. And so it's interesting, moving to a virtual environment. One of the biggest components for us was really not removing our team from the process. We wanted our team to really continue with that ride-along experience that candidates in spending time one-on-one, looking at the tools, and using what we found was using Zoom and other technologies gave us kind of a platform to be able to do that. And we wanted people to experience and understand the culture of our team. So we tried really intentionally to give candidates different opportunities to ask those types of questions. What's your culture like? And we do that through an actual panel that they get, and they get to sit and ask our SDR specific questions relating to what is the day-to-day like? As we always kind of say this in our interview, we want a candidate to vet us as much as we're vetting them. We want them to ask as many questions so there's no doubt from either end that both individuals are 100% committed and aligned that this is the best opportunity for Service Express, but also it's the best opportunity for the candidate and their family. So we've had to adjust those things. And I can tell you the greatest lesson we've learned as a leadership team, I think, is to delegate and trust your team. Trust that they understand the why behind what we do and how we do it. And we've given them that type of responsibility virtually to work together and to create a really welcoming virtual environment now for our candidates to step into. And I think, for kind of the experience with COVID, a lot of folks are coming to Service Express with situations that ended abruptly. We're hearing those types of stories where things changed fast, and there were things that that based on their industry or their company that they were in, where things ended and changed quickly. So candidates are asking a lot of questions about culture and what's it like to work here. And they're looking for that career-long opportunity. And the exciting thing about Service Express and the growing organization that we are is that we have so many stories where people have come here, invested, really put forth the effort and focused on growing as an SDR. And that led them to huge opportunities at Service Express. So for us, it's the easy part of sharing the story, because stories are always a great examples of that and casting a little vision for people as to how they can walk down that path.
So, Derek, that's great perspective. Luis, what have you seen? Derek mentioned on it a little bit around candidates that we're talking to about, maybe their previous jobs ended kind of abruptly. What are you seeing from the candidate's perspective as far as going through the interview process, multi-steps, a ride along? How are they rolling with what's happening right now, and what was their perspective like, have you gathered, going through our interview process?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that the labor market overall has just been tighter, right? With just more restrictions and companies just having different growth plans, or just having to adjust, in the way that things were kind of projected to be. So we do have candidates coming in and asking about what does the future look like for Service Express, right? Like, can you tell me a little bit more about the industry? right? And like where we're projected to grow in. And for us, that's, you know, I guess sadly in a way, but also like that we get to brag a little bit that our industry, you know, is I guess tends to thrive in this type of environment where companies are choosing to go outside of their plan to evaluate vendors or to look at strategies that they maybe haven't considered before. And just given the industry that we are in, that is a helpful advantage that gives us, you know, just that ability to kind of be the resource for potential customers looking to significantly reduce their expenses when it comes to IT and when it comes to data center, while not sacrificing, and actually in many times is way overdoing it in the type of service that they're getting before, right? So that is something that we have to fall back on, and we get to share with candidates about. Here's what it looks like, or here's what it's looked like so far. And we also have this really awesome destination that we have to latch onto, right? Which is we want to be a $500 million company by 2025, and that is still within reach, right? Despite what we've experienced this year. So we have such strong values to be able to reassure them of here's where we're going, right? Like, yes, it looks different than it did before. Yes, we've had to pivot, but man, we're still committed and we're still thriving towards that goal.
Yeah, Ron, I'd like to add two things here that I find really interesting of candidates coming in, and I think it's been really, really good, is that a lot of candidates, they were kind of like pigeonholing themselves, and they didn't have like an open mind of what they could be doing. So they'd look maybe at a sales development role and they'd say, no, I want to be closing the business. Like I want to be doing this. And because the you know, companies, maybe their employment ended abruptly, or it was tougher to get a job, they opened up their mind a little bit and they got to explore a position like sales development that could be really, really good for them. And we get some of these people into our team and it's like, they start telling us, man, I'm learning so much. And yeah, you are, because you had a lot to learn, which is great. And that's where like sometimes we just don't humble ourselves and say, look, this is what I can do if I focus in on something really well. I can learn a ton there and then I can take it and apply it somewhere else. And we have to have those open minds to that kind of thing. And just the opposite, we get some people who are interviewing with us who don't really want the position. They don't want to work at our company. They wouldn't be good fits, and that's okay. Like, and they feel maybe this desperation, and those people, they can't, like, they need to go out and keep the hunt going to find something that's a good fit, because I don't care what the situation is. If you take a job that doesn't fit you, it's going to end someday. Like, it's not going to be a good fit. You have to find a company in a position that fits you well. And so we're seeing a lot of that with candidates coming into sales development, or at least interviewing with us as well.
Yeah, that's one of the gifts of adversity, right? It'll open up our minds to other opportunities that maybe we weren't as open to before, but because the situation dictates it, we need to be. And then that can lead to some of our greatest achievements. And that applies to all of us in different ways. And you know, we've always had that philosophy around anybody that we hire is we're not a great fit for everybody. And it doesn't make us good or bad, or the candidate good or bad. It just, you know, the position's not a great fit for everybody. Maybe the company's not a great fit for anybody. And Derek mentioned it during the ride along, like giving enough information so the candidates can make really good, solid choices themselves, whether they think this is the right opportunity or not for us. And I've always been amazed, you know, throughout this year in all our departments, but I think you've probably hired the most because it's been a big investment year for sales development team. One, I've always been impressed with our team, and I mentioned this with Lindsay about that we could hire so many people during COVID. It's, you know, we've been blessed that we are able to keep hiring, that we've had no layoffs and we're growing still and can hire. But I'm always impressed with the candidates that they would accept a job with a company that they haven't actually met or been on site face to face. And I think it's a credit to all of you who are involved in the process and in the process you've created that allows them to feel comfortable enough